Hello, Bundle Birth family. My name's Sarah Lavonne, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I am going to answer your frequently asked question. My doctor told me I have a big baby. Does that mean I need a C-section, or really anything related to big baby? Man, oh man, do I hear this one a ton. So I'm gonna answer it for you in this FAQ video. Don't forget to subscribe, and then let's get started. This video is dedicated to the women of Casa Dalia and Amadas in Quito, Ecuador, which is actually where I grew up. My sister's a social worker there for End Slavery Ministries, which is a nonprofit for women coming out of vulnerable situations like sex trafficking and prostitution and domestic violence, among other things. So every year they have Christmas parties in the local brothels to love on and then share with the women how loved and valuable they are. Entonces, muchachas, no puedo estar con ustedes este año, pero estamos orando por ustedes y espero que tengan unas buenas fiestas y una feliz Navidad y que sepan en sus almas qué tan amadas son. This necklace was actually made by these women, and you can get one for yourself and support them. I will link everything down below in the description box, as well as a link to donate to their Christmas parties and get involved yourself. So your question is, it's not really a question, but it's a question about big baby. Let's talk about big baby. You have heard me, if you've been watching my videos, that you know this is a little bit of a trigger word for me. I've talked about this in Coffee and Questions before. I talk about this a lot on my Instagram story or my Instagram lives. And so I want to make a dedicated video answering this question for those of you who are looking for it or going back to it about big baby. So whether you've been told that you have a big baby at some point in your pregnancy, whether it be like 20-week ultrasound or closer to your due date, or especially as you're anticipating your birth, or even if you're in labor, about this big baby thing. Are we concerned about you having a big baby? Of course we care, because the bigger the baby, the more the baby has to maneuver through the pelvis, the more chance there is that the baby gets stuck or it doesn't fit through the pelvis. But hear me out now. The only way to know if your baby will fit through your pelvis, meaning you can have a vaginal birth, is by trying. The only way to know if your baby will fit through your pelvis, meaning you can have a vaginal birth, is by trying, okay? So you may be able to deliver a 12-pound baby from your vagina, or you may not be able to deliver a 12-pound baby from your vagina. But the only way to know is by trying. And so when you're being told this, I want you to pick it up, hold it with it like a grain of salt, okay? Instead of freaking out about it, take a deep breath and go, okay, noted. I'm paying attention to my carbs or my sugar intake. Cool. And then I'm gonna trust in my body that my body has all sorts of maneuvers in it in order to stretch the pelvis open, and the baby is going to mold their little head through, and all of these things that are gonna align to help me have a vaginal birth. And then in labor, I'm not gonna stress about it. I'm not gonna be thinking, oh, what if the baby doesn't fit? What if this and that? I'm gonna let go, and I'm going to trust in the process. And then if there were to come a point where your doctor says, you know what, the baby's not fitting, usually what that looks like is you push for a certain number of hours. So hopefully your cervix gets to 10 centimeters. And then when it does, you're pushing, and the baby just doesn't come through, okay? That would be what we call an arrest of descent, and maybe an indication that your pelvis is too small, or the baby's too big, or there's something going on in there where the baby just can't get down and out. That doesn't mean you can't have a vaginal birth in the future, or a vaginal birth after cesarean. If you want more on that, I have a whole class on that. But we're trusting until we're presented with new information. And that just goes for labor in general, that we wanna believe in the process. We wanna trust in our bodies and in our babies and our providers. You've heard me say that before. The only way to know is by trying. Now, your doctor may go in and say, you have a narrow pelvis, okay? A narrow pelvis, that is subjective. That may be something for their information to note of like, oh, well, we'll see if this baby fits. But that's my job as a provider to think about that. And don't let that stress you out, because more often than not, it's only gonna increase your stress response, your adrenaline, and potentially negatively impact your labor and birth. Now, the question here was, will it cause a C-section? And in general, the big baby thing, if you have a massive baby in there, and your pelvis is a certain size and maybe it could fit a 7-pound kid, but you have a 9.5-pound kid, there is a chance that that could impact your need for a C-section. So I'm not gonna say that it doesn't, but at the same time, to schedule a C-section where your doctor's like, the baby is way too big, it's not gonna fit, you need a C-section without even trying, is really not so much a thing, okay? Now, for somebody who does not have gestational diabetes, their estimated fetal weight needs to be above 4,500 grams, which is like, I think 11-ish pounds. I've said this before in a previous video. So there's that. And if you do have gestational diabetes, if your baby is above 4,000 grams, which we'll convert here in a little taggy thing, then it could be a reason why your doctor's like, you know what, I think your baby's on the big side and I would recommend scheduling a C-section. That is still your choice. If you don't want a C-section and you want to try, fully knowing that there's a chance that the baby may not fit. Now, mind you, there's a chance that the baby may not fit the whole time along the way, but you know, my baby's on the larger side. You may try for labor and deliver a 7.5-pound baby because those estimated fetal weights allow for 10% margin of error, meaning they can be wrong, either plus 10% or minus 10%, and it still be considered normal and not true estimated fetal weight, like where they like, like it was a poor estimation or whatever. So it's an estimation, it's an estimation. It's not an exact science, this whole estimated fetal weight thing. So moral of the story is if you want a vaginal delivery, go for it. Set yourself up, decrease your stress, trust in your partner, in your provider, in your baby, in your body, and let those labor hormones flow. Do everything you can to get this baby down and out. And then if you get to a situation where the baby doesn't fit because it's too big, then you can look back and say, I did everything I possibly could to get this baby out vaginally, and I can feel confident in my decision for a C-section. Thanks everyone for being with me here today. If you want more from me, you can always go to my website. I got lots of goodies over there. Everything will be in the description box down below. If you have a question related to this video, throw it in the comment box down below as well. I may follow up in a future coffee and questions video. And then don't forget to subscribe. You can like it, you can share it with a pregnant friend or even a non-pregnant friend. And then until next time, don't forget to flex and flow, and I will see you soon. Bye.